So I'll go ahead and begin the meeting. I'm part of this committee. So it is June 17th. I believe it's 5:05 p.m. on Tuesday. This is a meeting of maintenance and development on the topic of Go Net speed permit. So I'll pass it off to you, Councilor Delgado, to facilitate. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Click Bruce. So hello, everybody. My name is Jose Delgado, one of the city councilors here for the city of Springfield. Today we have with us a number of individuals from the company GoNet Speed. I know there's some folks online, but I just want to make sure I give folks in person the opportunity to say hello. So start with you.
GoNet Speed, Dave Chaplin.
Dave Chaplin, thank you, Dave.
Eric Weiss from the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission.
And Evan Mastriani, Pioneer Valley Planning Commission.
And then I know there's some more folks online. If folks could just introduce themselves, starting with, I'll start with Doug.
Doug Hall with the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission.
Okay. And then I guess go to Heidi.
Sure. Heidi Mahoney. I am with GoNet Speed.
And I see you, Hector. You're on mute.
No, okay. I'm Hector Velez from Engineering Department, DPW Springfield.
Thank you, Hector. Then I see some other folks. John.
Hi, I'm John Dellahan with GoNet Speed, also in the Government Affairs Department.
Perfect. And then we got two more folks. We got Benjamin and Raymond.
Hi, Ben Madden with GoNet Speed doing the permitting aspect of our build.
Perfect. And then Raymond.
Ray Vasquez, GoNet Speed, construction manager.
Perfect. All right. So thank you, everybody, for introducing yourself. So what we have here today, this was an item on the city council agenda, I want to say last week. And we had moved it to committee because a number of folks had expressed interest in wanting to learn more about what was going on here. I will say myself as the chair of the Digital Equity Working Group, wanted to learn more about the work that GoNet Speed is having. But before we get into that, I kind of want to make sure that we touch upon the subject itself, which is the orders that we got for permits from GoNet Speed. So I guess I'll let GoNet Speed start from that angle, I guess.
Yeah, if we're going to start with the permits, which makes total sense, Ben, I think that is going to be on you and maybe Dave and Ray to chat through those permits. And then we can talk a little bit about GoNet Speed and our plans in Springfield in general, if you'd like.
Yeah, I think that sounds great.
Yeah, let me share my screen. Get it working. I'm hoping, sorry, I'm used to Teams, not Zoom. Hopefully you can see my screen. We've got 7 underground permits in our Charlie 1-1 area. So the addresses that I had from Hector are not necessarily out of order, but just out of the order that I numbered them. So do you want to take them by the order you guys have it on the agenda, or my numbering order? Doesn't matter.
Whatever's easier for you.
Okay, easier for me, I think, would be to start with our number 1 here, which is along Parker Street in Springfield. Do you want us to delve in depth as to why we're doing this, or just to lay the land in the area?
Guess Heidi, do you think it's better to do the reverse and to kind of give the overall view and then jump into the permits?
Yeah, I think that might give you an idea generally of what we're doing and where we're going. If that works for you guys, I can take the screen over from Ben and sort of give a general overview, and then we can talk through permits specifically.
Yeah, my apologies. Yeah, we should probably do the higher level. And before you guys get to that, I just wanted to give a little bit more context. So the working group on digital equity has been doing a lot of work, and Eric Weiss is here from the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission. around efforts that's been going on longer than when I became a counselor. But a lot of the work had been around accessibility, affordability, and education when it comes to digital, digital equity, internet, and whatnot. And so when we heard about the GoNetSpeed stuff, we were just really curious to learn more about what you were doing, because it sounds like there's some efforts around fiber, which is one of the discussions that we were having as a municipality in terms of this report that we have finalized. And so we really are just curious to know more about the work that you guys are doing. And then I guess I'll let you guys take over and kind of give that high level on your end.
Yeah, if that makes sense, I'm sharing my screen. Can everybody confirm they can see it?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. So I just prepared a few slides. There's not a lot here. I wanted to sort of keep it very focused on Springfield and specifically talk a little bit about who GoNetSpeed is and where we're located and that kind of thing. So a little bit about us. GoNetSpeed is the largest privately owned fiber service provider in the Northeast currently. And I would just want to highlight that we're privately owned, and the funds for these builds are our own funds, investor funds, our funds. We pass over 600,000 locations across 9 states currently, and we're looking to add a couple of additional states to that list. And currently we have over 100,000 subscribers. Super important for us to have community engagement. So really appreciate everybody taking the time to meet with us today and talk through this. This is just a sort of visual representation of where we're located. As you can see, most of our service is in the Northeast. What you don't see on here is the 2 that we're adding, which is Rhode Island. We won a significant grant to build out an area in Rhode Island, and then soon to be New Jersey. There are a couple of outliers here that are not in the Northeast sort of area, and that's Missouri and Alabama, as you can see. We have a traditional ILEC or telephone services in those areas, so we'll be upgrading fiber services there as well. So we do a combination of upgrading services from traditional copper telephone services, as well as building net greenfield networks from scratch, like we would be here in Springfield, or are here in Springfield. So in Massachusetts specifically, we have a warehouse and offices right in Agawam across the river from you. So our service folks would be coming right from Agawam, field technicians coming from that area. All of our product is there as well. And then, in terms of customer service, when you're calling someone local. They're not necessarily here in Massachusetts, but just over the border in New York. We're calling people from customer service, they're local as well. So specific to Springfield, this is what our investment looks like currently. And as I had mentioned before, it's private funds that we're investing into the city. So currently, and I will go through a service map next, talk through where our phase 1 of the project looks like. So currently we're planning on passing approximately 13,000 locations, and that's an approximate $14 million investment. Likely that is going to be higher. It tends to be a little bit more expensive in Massachusetts, which is fine. We understood that going in. Total miles of fiber that we're constructing, and that is currently primary aerial fiber is 110 miles. And we started this project back in 2024. So when I say started, that means we did the permitting. We have put license applications into the utility pole owners, and we were, getting surveys back from them to complete make ready on the areas that we're building. Our plan for service availability, we have some areas that are open now, and I'll show you that on the map in the next slide. And then depending on when we get those licenses, we forecasted to be complete by the end of this year. That I have to put a caveat on that because it really does depend on when we get those licenses and the make ready gets complete by the poll owners. And some of that is sort of out of our hands. We push them and we work with them. We have a good relationship with them, but sometimes that takes a little longer. So we're anticipating Q4 of this year or Q1 of next year to be complete with this phase 1 of the build. And this is what the build looks like for now. So when I say phase 1, we don't always necessarily go into a town or a city with the entire city in mind at first. Typically we approach a certain area and we build out a certain area, and then we'll move into like a phase 2 where we'll explore building additional areas. And I know that this is a concern or a point of importance to the city that the entire city be built out. And I just want to highlight that we're very open to those conversations about the city getting built out entirely. I mean, this is where we're starting. So just to talk a little bit about the colors that you see on this map, the green are where we have service currently available. And then we have varying shades of blue here. Those are anywhere from this summer to the forecasted to be complete this summer to the end of 2025, as we had mentioned. And again, that depends, like I said, on make ready. I'm going to pause here for a second because I have a feeling there are probably some questions.
Yeah, you got a question
I
here?
got a couple. First of all, hi. We are writing the digital equity report for the city of Springfield as part of the MBI municipal program, and I'm sure you're
Yeah.
well aware of it. So we appreciate being here today. Yeah, I think you answered one of my questions. You said you had 100,000 subscribers, but you said 13,000 is your target in Springfield right now.
Yep.
100,000 is spread amongst all the states that you serve, I would guess.
100,000 spread amongst the states that we serve. So total that's 100,000 people who have subscribed to our service.
Right.
So 600,000 that we pass in terms of locations. So in Springfield specifically, we would be passing 13,000 locations. Obviously, we would love it if all 13,000 of those
Got it.
become subscribers, but that's the difference.
Were you guys able to access any of the the extension money, the fiber extension money through the BEAD or other parts of the MBI programs?
No, unfortunately not. The service speeds that you receive from other providers didn't allow us to apply for funds.
And so how did you I guess my last question for now is, how did you target the areas that you're looking at? What was your decision tree on that to come up with those as being the sites to start with?
Sure, I think there's a lot of different things that go into the decision on where we start, but one of them I know is that we have service area. If I'll go back to the map here for a second.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you can see my mouse. Can you see my mouse?
Yes, yes.
Okay. We have a service area up here that is, I believe Ludlow. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. If that's
Yes.
not
Yeah,
Ludlow.
that's towards Ludlow, without a doubt.
So we'd be pulling right from there to go into this area. And then we also have service down here below Springfield that would be pulling up. So we start from there. And then, a combination of different things is how they decide where they're going to go. You can see that there obviously are some sort of Swiss cheese areas within the colored area that you see. Our primary build, as I mentioned, is going to be aerial. So underground is much more disruptive and expensive to do. And oftentimes we need to get proper permissions to do underground work both from the city and from, if it's an HOA or a private road or things like that. So those tend to take longer and would be more into like a phase 2 or a phase 3.
I guess I didn't tell the truth. I have a last question now. That was my third to last question.
That's fine.
You mentioned something about potentially talking to the city, et cetera, about offering fiber. That's sort of the crux of this whole thing. Is there a way to elaborate on that a little more?
Mean offering it to the entire city?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're always open to the conversation. And like I said, you know, with the private funds that we're contributing right now, this is what it looks like. And there could be a potential phase 2 or phase 3. You know, we understand that the city wants us to build the whole city. We're open to the conversation of what that might look like. To be honest, I think our engineers and operations team would need to take a look at what the cost would be to build out the rest of the city. And then maybe set up a meeting with the appropriate people in the city to talk through what that might look like. In a mutually beneficial way. Like, we want it to be a win-win for everybody.
Understanding that the city, whatever they would have to do would be, if they were gonna go this route, would have to go through the public bid route.
And that's fine. If it needed to go through an RFP process, we totally understand that. Especially if there are funds involved, we completely understand that.
Good, Derek.
Yeah.
Not sure if Counselor Click Bruce has any questions. Or anybody else?
I have a couple.
Questions from me.
Yeah. I do have a couple more slides that do deal with like the digital inclusion and digital equity. If I could go through those, maybe that might answer a couple other questions for you folks.
Sure. Okay.
Let me get there. This talks a little bit about the aerial build. I'm just gonna quickly go through this slide. So we're attaching to those utility poles that are in the right of way. Once that is complete, then a customer would say, I want service at my home. We would then complete the drop from the pole to their home. And I usually go into much more detail about this, but I'm going to move for the sake of time and everybody's time, I'm going to move through it. This is what our current pricing looks like as of right now. And as you probably know, fiber is symmetrical. So if you're getting a 500 speed download speed, you're getting 500 upload speed. We do include the router with that at no charge, and installation on a typical installation is no cost unless it's a high cost build to do the drop.
Can you explain for some folks who might not understand the difference between what you get from fiber versus what folks might be getting from your traditional cable?
Sure. Well, one, competition, right? So competition is super important for the consumer to be able to make sure they're getting the best product from everybody, and whether that's the cable provider or whoever else is out there. But two, fiber specifically is reliable and future proof. So when I say you're getting symmetrical service, when you get 500 download speed, that's pretty typical, right? So if you have, like here I have Spectrum. If I have Spectrum, they're going to say, yeah, you get 500, but your upload speed, which is when you do streaming, when you do gaming, when you do video conferencing, and you have multiple users using devices in a home, that upload speed is what's super important to be able to have consistency and reliability. And that's what you get with fiber. So it's really sort of future proof in terms of the speeds and reliability that you get.
Okay.
So community engagement is very, very important to us. So we do have a whole team of people that will come in after construction is complete and in the phases also that we're complete in. And they will, they'll sponsor events. They will become part of the community. You know, we'll have salespeople who are also part of the community. And I do want to talk through a little bit about what our plan to offer Springfield is. So keeping in mind when I talk about free connections at libraries, at library buildings for up to 3 years, obviously it would have to be within the network that we're building. So if it's a library that's outside of where our network would be, then that wouldn't necessarily be included. But we would be willing to provide those free connections to libraries so that people could do research, education, job searches, things like that at the library. Also, we would be willing to provide 5 connected devices to the city at the city's discretion, to either maybe at a library or at a senior center or whatever nonprofit that the city would like to utilize those at. And that could be, you know, like a laptop, tabloid, tablet desktop. And like I said, distributed at the city's discretion. Also, we would offer discounted services to schools and municipal buildings, again, as long as they were within our network. And then, like I had mentioned, we're very, very excited about engaging with the community. So we would do event sponsorships and participation, and we do cut the cord classes at senior centers often, and sort of teach people what it's like to go to a streaming service like what fiber provides, as opposed to a cable service that most people are used to and familiar with. And that is the last slide that I have. So if there are additional questions for me, I'm happy to answer those, or we can sort of talk through the permits and the reason that we're putting the permits forth.
Yeah, no, I think, so first of all, thank you for having that presentation and kind of educating some of us a little bit more on the work that you guys are doing. Like I said, as the chair of the working group, this is something that we've been looking at from a holistic approach. And so understanding what GoNetSpeed is doing, and coming to the city of Springfield, I think, we're really excited for having that other option. And obviously the investment, that GoNetSpeed is making in the city of Springfield is something that, we celebrate. At the same token, I think part of why I kind of wanted to have this too is just to understand those phased approaches. Because I'll be completely honest, the last thing I want is somebody to come into the city and take a certain portion of the city, and then, we're kind of left with some of our neighborhoods that, we have some of our economically depressed neighborhoods that, as we've noticed from COVID, I mean, I don't think that, internet, reliable internet is a luxury anymore. I think it's a necessity for folks, especially for folks who come from some of our neighborhoods that have less than. And so I was curious to learn, do you have options for folks who, might not be able to do the, $75 kind of, do you have options for those folks, maybe seniors or other folks might be a little bit, that might be challenging for them to get to that higher number.
Yeah, that's totally understandable. And as you know, there's the ACP program that was defunded, and we did participate in the ACP as well. We participate in Lifeline, which is a discounted program for people who qualify with the federal government. Also, it gives them a discount on their bill. As of right now, we don't have any plans that are below what I showed you for Massachusetts. But if there were another low income plan like ACP, we would 100% participate in that.
And then another question that I had, as I'm thinking of trying to write these down, is, so you mentioned you kind of have a phase one approach. Is there like a phase two that's already kind of in the process, or is it just kind of like, we're going to do this and then we're going to see?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, phase one really looks like what we showed you. And then, if people really are enjoying the service that we provide and things are going well, then we would expand into a phase two. So there's no necessarily design for a phase two at this moment. And certainly, like I said, we would be willing to have that conversation or even participate in an RFP if the city wanted to work on that.
Got it. All right. And I think is there anything on our end as the city of Springfield? I know you've mentioned before having conversations, but is there anything that we as a city could make this process, I guess, easier, faster, better, and kind of more collaborative to kind of look at kind of getting out to the whole city? Is there stuff that we can do as a municipal body to make that kind of more of a reality?
Sure. I mean, the make ready is the most expensive portion of what we do, right? And the reason that we're putting these applications for underground is to avoid really high cost make ready and get service to our potential your constituents faster, but also to avoid double polls. And so the ease of permitting is super helpful. And if we're able to save some funds there, then, the discussion about going into a phase 2 or phase 3 to build out other areas is much more appealing to the folks at our company.
And you said you were looking at roughly 13,000, which is like 10 or 12% of the total number of potential drops citywide?
I don't know the total number of drops citywide. Someone else on the call might. I don't know if Ray or Ben know the total number of drops citywide. Or maybe you folks do.
Unfortunately, no.
Okay.
Anybody else have any other questions? I know Councilor Clay-Bruce, I know it sounded like you were about to jump in, so I don't want to throw you on the, again, if you don't have anything.
No, I'm good. Thank you.
All right, cool. All right, I guess we kind of go into the permitting piece of it unless anybody else has any other burning questions.
I was gonna say that I think that as we're wrapping up this report for the city,
Mhm.
I think it would probably be good, and I just gave my card off to you, that we at least have a conversation with you guys about what's going on with NetSpeed to
Yeah.
include accurate information in the report about what's going on, so we get all the right info put in there.
That makes total sense. And we would love to set
In
up
the
a
next
separate
week or
meeting
so. Yeah,
and we can talk through that with you. And I can provide you with whatever information you might need.
that would be great, because I want to be accurate and I want to be forthcoming with the right information.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. What was your name again?
My name is Eric Weiss, Weiss. And like I said, I forgot your name already.
David.
I handed my card off to David here.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Sounds
we're
good.
good. Yeah,
Eric, when do you have to have your report done?
yesterday.
I hear you.
As soon
Okay.
as we can meet, the better, basically.
I'm available. I can make myself available whenever.
All right, we'll figure that out after this.
Okay.
Perfect. All right, let's jump into the permits.
So I was talking on mute there. Sorry, folks. So essentially, the permits, like Heidi was saying, we're trying to bury past a pole, 2, maybe 3. We'd love to go aerial, but like Heidi was saying, to save some cost, mainly timeline, to get everything on, to get our network lit is why we're proposing to bury past these poles. So I can delve into each one in depth if we want to, but that is the scenario for all of them. And they've been walked out by Hector, Ray Vasquez, and Dave Chaplin on our side. So I guess I'm not sure how to best move forward with the.
I would just say, yeah, if you could just give us a couple examples of a couple of the areas that you guys are doing it at, that'd be kind of good enough, and just explain. So it sounds like you're connecting. I think what I heard from Heidi earlier is, you guys had like a branch from Ludlow coming into the city, and then some from south of the city, and so some of this is kind of continuing this connectivity through the city, but underground. So I guess just highlighting some of the different streets and neighborhoods, I think.
Sure, definitely. If you're seeing my screen, all these areas here are in our Charlie 1-1 area. Don't ask me why we name them all that stuff, but if you think of anything that's not orange or green, that's going to be our aerial fiber plant, and these orange routes are going to be our proposing underground. So if we look at our first one here along Parker Street, we're just proposing to bury past this one pole, which I believe Eversource deemed as needing a pole replacement. And the main thing there is time. That takes a ton of time to change out that pole. So to keep these customers, I'm not sure which homes along this line would be impacted by this, but say we build our aerial plant and we can't connect the two, some customers in here would be left out, unfortunately. That's sort of a high level view of this first one here. Go over to our second one. Tell me if I'm going too fast or not answering any questions.
Oh, it's perfect.
Heading more south down Parker Street, I think sort of towards the Hermitage Drive area. This looks like one pole as well. These are all going to be that scenario of a pole change out by Eversource and just the time aspect of doing that. And if we head a little east of Parker, this is a service road. Oh, it says right there, North Branch Parkway Service Road. One pole there. It's probably hard to see on your side. We have a little bit of as we're installing it underground, you sort of go around the pole because obviously you can't go under it. And this one's not as good where you're able to see the pole from this Google Earth aerial view. And fourth one, just keep going south on Parker. This one's a little more complex. We've got 1, 2, 3 poles that we're proposing to bury past. Sorry, these two as well. On Sonia and Ravenwood. Heading more south, let's see, Patricia Circle. Not even sure. There should be one pole in there somewhere, I think. Maybe not. But again, just trying to connect 2 areas with that underground route to save time. And then heading east of Parker, these are the last 2, Jordan Street and Durant Street. There's a pole right on at the intersection here that we're proposing to bury past. And rounding out this batch would be further on Parker View. Let's see, a pole right here, sort of towards the end of it where it starts Kent Road. So we do have quite a few more. That's why I wanted to have this meeting first. Poor Hector has been doing a good job dealing with me. So thank you, Hector. I've been a pest. We have a Charlie 2 area and then a Delta 2 area. As you can see, there's a ton on there. So I can really quickly highlight those and do a zoom out.
I mean, they're essentially the same thing for different sections, essentially, right?
That is correct.
All right. I think I'm good. I don't think we need to go as deep. I was just curious to know what areas of the city, but we have some of that information here already. So, so you kind of tied everything together. So
Excellent. I will stop the share and go on mute. But if you have any questions, just holler.
got it. Hector, is there anything from your end that you'd like to share with us?
Yes, most of the location is like 300, 400 feet from pole to pole underground. I have like 20 more locations that we already visit the site. And I don't know if NetSpeed have more petitions, more location, because we have just July, just one meeting, and August, I think it's just one.
Yeah.
So we have, I believe it's 27 or 28 areas. And Hector, I think there's only 3 more areas in Delta 2 that you guys had to walk out.
Yes.
Does that sound correct, Ray?
Yes.
Yeah, the 3 more that start raining and we have to reschedule those.
Okay, perfect. So this is all we've got right now. I can't promise there won't be more in the future if we have that phase 2 or phase 3, but this is what we're looking at for right now.
Yeah, most of the location is almost the same. It's like from one pole to another or skip one pole. And I don't know that this question is for the city council. I don't know if I'm gonna send the 27 petition to the city council on July, or I don't know how we're gonna, or they can wait on half August and half July.
I mean, I think for right now, I think what do we have? The 8 that we have here, is that what we have? So is it 8 plus, you said another 26? Sorry, I didn't hear that part.
So you
20, I have, yeah, 26, yeah.
I mean, I know right now what we're dealing with is the 8 that we'll try to get to the next meeting. Then I guess that's up to the council president on how we do the scheduling for the following, whether we can have that on there or if it's, you know, on a subsequent meeting. So
Okay.
I can't answer that question.
So yeah, there's 27 in total. I didn't want to get ahead of myself, but in Charlie 1-1, we have 7, Charlie 2, we have 6, and Delta 2, we have 14 to make up 27. So this meeting was just about the Charlie 1-1, but my question once we were close to wrapping stuff up was, what is our next step for that? And then also, do we want to talk further on those Charlie 2 and Delta 2 areas?
That sounds like a Hector and you conversation. You know, I can't deal with anything else. I mean, that sounds like a process you guys have to do with.
We already walked the site, the 20-something site. And I'm waiting just to send it to the city council.
Okay, so again, yeah, that's an issue that, you know, we'll have to send to the council president and he'll have to make the decision on how many we can do at a meeting, so. Well, with that, is there any other questions for anybody else?
What are the
Council-
next steps for these particular permits? Do we need to go back to city council for approval and when would that next meeting be?
Correct, so what we'd have to do is move this to the full council. Since I'm not technically the committee chair or part of this committee, that would be something that Councilor Click Bruce can do, is just have it move to the council meeting. I believe the next council meeting is not till July. I'd have to ask Daisy, do we know what the next council meeting is?
July 14th.
So right now, that's our next council meeting is July 14th. So we could move it up to that.
And I have a question. Can I send the 26 petition to July 14 or just these 7 petitions?
I mean, through the chair, Hector, I would suggest you just send it over to your normal process, send it over to Gladys, wherever your normal process, and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
I don't see why not, personally, but like to Councilor Delgado's point, just send it through, and our council president will make the appropriate arrangements to get them on or reconfigure it.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions, comments?
No, I do have a comment. I just want to say thank you for the presentation. Thank you, Councilor Delgado, for stepping in. This is great product for our city and giving us additional, some other options, I should say. So I'm happy to support this. So thank you, Councilor Delgado, and everybody who pushed this forward.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cool. All right, with that, I guess we're good. I think we'll Hector will send it to the city clerk, and then we'll go from there for the next steps.
Okay, thank you very much. Have a great night.
All right, thank you.
Take care, everyone.
Okay.
Thank you.